We've used Starlink since the start, starting off with the standard version across the Atlantic with that about 4 years ago, and then back across the Atlantic using the Mini last year. So this video will go through all the final points and bring you up to speed on what's happening now with Starlink. Now, spoiler alert, this video is going to come to the conclusion that this one, Starlink Mini, is definitely the best thing to have on your boat. And there's quite a few reasons for that. One of them is its portability. So let's take it down and I'll go through some details. The Mini, as you can see, is very small and light. It's about the size of a big iPad, and it's all self-contained. Everything is in here. All you've got to do is feed it some power. The router is built in it and works really, really well. So it's a great unit from that sort of point of view. Much easier to fit as well. With the older version, you had 2 big wires to put through. You had the router to put somewhere inside. That router wasn't very good. It didn't even cover the whole boat. This one not only covers the whole boat, I can quite often be ashore and still get connection with this. So they seem to have really tuned in, everything about this is powerful, although it doesn't use much power. So let's talk about power, because that's important. Now, if what you've been using up until now is just a SIM card in your phone or a little dongle, that's negligible power, really. It's not hardly anything. So you have got to think about the fact if you're going to go to Starlink, you've got to power it.
So these are the tests that we did on the Generation 2 Starlink.
Still looking at this, still taking, 47, 49, 50 watts. So what we found was with the standard dish, we had to turn that off at times like on the Atlantic crossing when we're a little bit short of power. We just turned it on when we needed weather predictions, that sort of thing. On the way back using the Mini, we didn't have those sorts of concerns. This just uses significantly less than half. When we first tested this, these are the results that we came up with. So you can see it was showing just over 30 watts, but actually that's a bit high because we had to power it from the EcoFlow via the inverter. Now the reason for that is that it actually wants more than 12 volt this. I mean, you think of it as a 12 volt supply. It is just the power cable that you put in there, but it's natively wanting more than 12 volts. So if you had a 24 volt boat, then you probably could just cut the other end of the cable off, wire it into your boat, and it would probably run absolutely fine, even with that very long cable that they supply with this. But if you're just putting 12 volts into the end of that, the voltage loss in the cable means that this probably won't even start up. And if it does, it will be very flaky. So you need some more. So you either have to use the little block transformer that you get with it, so that it's putting out, I think, 36 volts from that, or have a DC to DC type step-up transformer so you can feed it a little bit more. Or there are other versions that we'll get to later where there's some good third-party things out that you can buy for these now. As I say, we'll have a little section on that in a minute. So yeah, what we did with this is we put a Phoenix inverter, which is quite an efficient one because we don't always have the boat's inverter on. So that's feeding it, and yeah, it's pretty good, pretty efficient that way. So I've already talked about the fact that this is much easier to mount than the standard one. There's only one little wire, and it doesn't really care where it's pointing either. I thought when we first got this that it might be a little bit more finicky about where it is pointing. With the standard one, the common thinking was to disable the motors because you don't want it trying to move to find exactly the right position. There's no point because you're in a moving boat, that's going to move all the time, so it's only going to upset it. So with ours, I drilled it and disable the motors. Now you don't have to do that. There is something in the app where you can just stop it from moving, and you lock it off so it's horizontal and it just sits there. With this one, I've just plonked it on, haven't lined it up at all. If I go into the settings and look at the alignment, it says it's out of alignment, but look, it gets perfect connection, pretty fast. Well, very fast. It's as fast as you need. I mean, what do we want it for? The most you're going to do with it, really, if it's for normal usage, is stream Netflix or something like that, and it can do that absolutely perfectly. Which is sort of another reason that you don't want things like the ocean version. There is a bigger version that's much more expensive and draws much more power. But why would you want it? Because unless you're in a super yacht and maybe you've got 20 users that are on it at the same time, maybe then it would be a thing. But on a cruising boat, no, this is all you need, which is why I'm saying, yeah, the Mini is in so many ways the best thing for a cruising boat. So of course, one of the important things to consider is what contracts you're going to have with this, and that's an easy one really. It's roam. It's been called different things in the past, but roam has always been the one that you want. If you have roam unlimited, it means you can put the little switch across to ocean mode, which they call now. Again, that's changed what they've called that at different times, but that means that when you're 12 miles or more away from land, you can still get connection, but you're paying a price per gigabyte rather than still just on your unlimited amount. So there's different versions of roam where you can limit yourself to 50 gigs or 100 gigs, I think it is. And with those two ones, it's obviously less money, but the unlimited one is the one that gives you the chance to then go to ocean mode. A lot of people get confused and think you need to have the maritime service. It's very expensive. You don't need to do that at all. We've only ever had the roam account on ours, and that's what works. It's always worked. And the other thing that might be a problem, that you think might be a problem, and we did when we first went on to the Mini, is that when you do go on the roam and you flick to ocean mode and you're moving from country to country, you should only have 60 days outside the country that you've actually registered the device in. Now, when we bought this one, we registered it in Colombia. We were actually in the ABC Islands at the time, but you couldn't actually register it in Aruba, so it just picked the nearest country, which was Colombia. And 60 days is what it's supposed to be, so we thought that 60 days after that, after we left Colombia, it would be cut off. Well, it's now 2 years since we've left Colombia. I'm still paying that. I pay the amount in Colombian pesos that it comes through, so it ends up being about £100 a month for me. It used to be a lot less. It's gone up because that's what's happened. Different countries were different prices. I think you used to be able to pick the country that you wanted to go to. It seems now you can't. When you actually first put it up and sign up, it knows what country it's in, and it makes you do it there. But don't worry about it. Don't think that you're going to in 60 days get cut off if you're sailing around and you've moved from country to country. They don't seem to do that at all. And even if they do, I think you can then just go into the system, re-register it in another country and carry on using it. So just not been an issue for us at all. That's been very good. So now for the good stuff then, the accessories. There are loads of accessories now that you can buy for the Mini. Loads of different mounts. I had to make the first mount that we put this on because there weren't any available at the time, but now anything you like. Power sources as well, loads of different power banks for it. Because that's all it needs, you can just clip this off, take it with you if you go on a road trip and power it from something like this. So this is an X-Star 158 they call it. That's because it's got 158 watt hours of power, so it run it for a long time, run it forever actually, because you can charge it at the same time via USB-C. So I might actually install this in the boat, just plug it into a USB-C socket and it will power the Starlink just off the end of that long lead because it's supplying 21 volts up. It's a little round socket, the Starlink socket. So that would be a great way of doing it. But I quite like this as a power unit. So, you can take it with you and use it for all sorts of things. So, yeah, it's a useful bit of kit. And I've got another version of that, which is sort of a neater version as well, if what you're wanting to do is take this away all the time. And that's what I did. I took this off when we went on our recent trip to Croatia. And I thought, okay, it'd be great to have this with us. So I can just stick it in hand luggage, is what I did. I took this with it. Basically, this just clips on to the end there, hit the button and it's good to go. So yeah, this is us using it in Croatia. So you may have seen recently we came to Croatia to sail the Cat here, and I brought the Starlink Mini with me. Now I'm going to try out the Peak Do system here, their battery system, and I could have from them got a suction mount because we've got this hatch that we could put it on. It works perfectly well like that with the Mini on the suction mount. I didn't get that suction mount now. I've just got a normal clamp type mount. The things that I use for cameras is what I've got here. So that's fine. It can go somewhere outside, but I'll show you it. I've shown you this before. I had the Peak Do 1. This is the Peak Do 2. Looks pretty much the same as the Peak Do 1, to be fair. It's a nice, neat little battery unit. It's got slightly larger battery capacity, and this one should last for about 5 hours, they say. The old one lasted for about 4. As you can see at the moment, I've got a USB-C into it. That's just actually charging my phone. You can use it as a battery bank as well. So you could just have this plugged in and power the unit with a USB-C, but it's not quite enough to keep it going full time. It doesn't charge fast enough that way. But this new one, the Peak Do 2, has other ways of doing that. So it's got this really good little magnetic clip that goes on, and then you can plug in a more powerful power supply. I use the EcoFlows for that, but Peak do a cigarette lighter type thing, which has an output with a lead that you can plug in straight from there if you're doing it from a car or somewhere with a cigarette lighter type port. And there's also one straight in the front here that you could use. And I think this is good because it would keep the waterproofing if you've got it that way round. I had that problem with this. I actually had it on a pole stuck out from when we were staying in an apartment to try and see the sky. That was a good way of getting it out there, but it was raining. I couldn't power it in the rain because you would have got rain in that socket. I think with this it would be fine because that would keep it sealed. So yeah, so how this works, as I say, I've shown it before with the Peak 2.1. It's exactly the same. So to use it, it's just got this little short cable you plug in and then clip that in. This clips in there really nicely, and then you've got a threaded mount that you can put any of the normal camera type mounts on. You can buy a little clamp mount, so I'll go and stick this up by the helm. Then we just hit the button on the front here, it'll come up, it'll tell you I've got 65% in the battery at the moment. If you keep your finger on the button, it'll power it up. So you can see it's drawing 16 watts. It starts off a little bit higher and then goes down as it's done all its work to acquire the satellites. It works pretty quickly. And we're ready to go, easy as that. There is an app you can put on your phone as well, so you can get all this information on your phone, start and stop it from there. So yeah, I mean, it's a really neat device, I think. So there will be those that say, why would you want to be connected while you're on a boat? Do you go on a boat to be disconnected from the world? And of course, for some people, that's absolutely true. And there are nice sides to that. But don't disregard, the safety things about something like this as well, because I mean, things like our Atlantic crossing coming back, we could get proper weather forecasts on Predict Wind. We weren't relying on GRIB files, which meant that we had a fantastic sail staying in exactly the right point as a big front came through. If we had 50 miles to the north, we would have had 40 knots of wind. If we were 50 miles to the south, we would have had no wind. We stayed in a point where we had 20 knots and we just flew across for about 8 days. 8 days of perfect weather, and we would not be able to do that if it didn't have the sort of live weather forecasting that something like this sort of gives you as you go. So it's got the good points for even people that don't really want to be connected. And obviously, lots of places like where we are now, there is no signal here, so you couldn't use a SIM card. So if you do it, someone needs to contact you, or you need to contact someone else, it gives you that. Even if you want it turned off and you only want it for emergencies, it's a useful thing because you don't have to have it active all the time. You can just switch it off and pause it for however long you want and just turn it on when you want it. You will then pay for that month. But yeah, I mean, it's something that even if you were on a boat and said, I don't need to be connected, I don't want to be, maybe still have one and only actually activate it if you really have to, because you need that sort of connection. So it's a good thing. And remember, with something like this, getting a life raft, take it with you. I mean, you can do. I would put this in my grab bag. So, all I've got to do on the way out is clip that off and take it with me, or have a second one. They're not that expensive to buy now. So yeah, it's all good thing. It's sounding like an advert now. It certainly isn't. I'm no fan of Elon Musk, but I am a fan of his product. I mean, no one's making anything as good as this at the moment. I hope the day comes when somebody does.